Like,
Oh my
isn't he like the
God.
most interesting person? It's like he's like ratchet on one end, right? He comes from the hood, but then he's like super, super like enlightened. So I don't know.
He's a man of mystery, as we like to say.
A man of mystery. I like that. That's
A man
exactly
of mystery.
B is so funny. I don't know, Ashley. I don't know if this dude's in the mountain with the monks or if he's in the hood with them boys.
Oh my God. Well, listen, a lot went down yesterday, and I'm upset that he's not here to go ahead and defend his Kansas City Chiefs because they dropped the ball
I told you.
against the Philadelphia Eagles last night in an absolute, I think we can go ahead and say a complete shocker of a game. Not so much because the Eagles won. I think
Mm-hmm.
that, going into this game, we already knew the Chiefs were a slight 2.5 point favorite. So it could have swung either way. But the fashion in which they lost,
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City at least, was mind blowing. So many drop passes from so many different guys repeatedly over and over and over again at the worst possible time. Patrick Mahomes also didn't look that great. We'll dive into that. And also, it was raining. And as you know, Brandon, in the rain, anything can happen.
It's
And it
tough.
sure did. So we're going to talk about, did the Chiefs fail Mahomes or are the Eagles just that good?
Right. So listen, and another thing that we need to dive into, Ashley, it's going to be cool to get your perspective here, and for me to also give you my perspective and you respond to that. But Tom Brady, our guy, said that the NFL is really mediocre. So let's dive in that. Make
Mm.
sure we get into that, okay? Don't forget, because
I won't.
sometimes,
I won't listen.
sometimes when we
First,
get
we
to
got to
the
get
end of
into
the
Monday
show,
Night
you
Football.
like take stuff out the show.
No, I won't take that out because I did see that, and that was actually very interesting to hear Brady say that. So before we dive into
Yep.
that, we're gonna go ahead and dive into the Kansas City Chiefs as they faced the Philadelphia Eagles Monday Night Football last night, and it was a rematch of the Super Bowl, rematch of the Kelsey Brother Bowl. But the Chiefs were unable to hold on to the ball. It seemed like most of the game. Now it was a struggle for Jalen Hurts in the offense in the first half. So the Chiefs definitely got the better of them in that aspect. But big plays in the second half and a couple of tush pushes or brotherly shoves, as they like to say it in Philadelphia, helps Philadelphia get the win. Um, we have to start. Actually, let's start with the winning side first before we start on the other side, because I feel like that's going to be a lot more to talk about. We talk about this all the time. Good teams, great football teams, find a way to win.
That's
That's
right.
exactly what Philadelphia did. First half didn't go well for them. Also, um, it was raining.
That's
And
right.
as you always say, the rain changes the entire landscape of a football game and essentially takes away home field advantage, which prior to the game, you said Arrowhead, that home field advantage is very, very real. Didn't seem to matter in this game. What did you make of Philadelphia's
I
performance?
hate that you put me in the box, Ashley, and say you wanted to start with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think there was a
We got to
lot
start with
to.
the winner. We got to
Yeah,
start
I
with the
know.
winner.
There's so much to learn about both teams, and I can't wait to dive into like all of my takeaways. Philadelphia Eagles, they didn't look good. They really didn't, and they didn't show me. They didn't show me much. Now, obviously, I picked the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game, right? And so
You
I was
did.
expecting a little more. I had them by 6. They ended up winning by 4, I believe it was. Um, but it still says a lot about them. For them to have the best record in the NFL and still mustered out a win in Arrowhead in those conditions says a lot
Right.
about this team. Like, how good are they? Like, how good are they? So I wasn't impressed by the win. Defensively, they stood up. They did some cool things defensively. Obviously, the Chiefs, shot themselves in the foot at time, a lot of drop balls. But for them to find a way to win in those conditions says a lot about this team, and everybody in the NFC is on notice, and they've been on notice for almost 2 years now. I know they're watching film right now, looking at the missed opportunities and pushing themselves on how they can be better. But Jalen Hurts, first half, second
Not
half,
great.
great when they needed him to be, right?
He was also a lot. He was also under a lot of pressure. I feel like through all
Yes.
4 quarters of the game, specifically the first half. But I feel like all 4 quarters, just under immense amount of pressure that Kansas City defense was really getting to him, and multiple times in multiple ways. And there's Cooper. Hi, Cooper. Cooper's making an appearance on the show.
Cooper's getting
Hi,
big.
Cooper. He's getting big. He is big. Cooper, you want to say? You want to say
Golly.
hi? Here, come here.
Cooper.
Everybody say hi to Cooper.
Hey, Cooper, let me ask you a question, Cooper. So I know you guys were watching the game. You weren't watching the game because I know that household, the Moss household. I know y'all were watching the game. You, Mr. Jeff, Miss Patty, Cooper, everybody's watching. Not because y'all fans, but because y'all are Eagle haters, Cooper. Now, were you upset, Cooper? Bark if you were upset that the Eagles won. Bark, Cooper. Hey, Ashley, I was sitting there watching this game and I was thinking about you because I was like, Ashley, Mr. Jeff, Miss Patty, is Miss Patty a Cowboys fan?
Of course, by association.
Yeah, right. I feel like it's like deep in y'all blood, though, you and your dad. I feel like that's more of like you and your dad's thing, but you know, we never really talked about your mom and part of this whole Dallas Cowboys club. But no, so cool. So I was thinking about you guys last night when I was watching the game. I was like, Ashley is probably feeling really good because if the Eagles drop this, then that
helps us out.
It helps the Cowboys out because I still believe this is going to come. Well, it's going to be tough. They got, what are they now? 2.5, 3 games behind the Eagles.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about you guys last night. The Eagles, like I said, Ashley, before Cooper came in and tried to take over our show, you know we have a lot of dog lovers too out there. But the Eagles didn't show me much, Ashley. They really didn't. And I'm going to say this. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, that was my next question for you was, yes, the Eagles got the win. Great teams find a way to win in terrible circumstances. And I feel like these were terrible circumstances from the weather, home field advantage or lack thereof, or maybe partially home field advantage. Jalen Hurts under pressure. You know, Philadelphia offense not really clicking, it seemed like, on all cylinders. Were you impressed by this win, or was this more of just the Chiefs kind of falling apart, or is that even fair to say?
Well, so listen, when you win and you play, like for me, when you play below the standards, and they play well below their standards, I truly believe that, right? Like they didn't capitalize off of the Kansas City mistakes. You know, Patrick Mahomes throws a pick in the red zone. They end up punting the ball. Now they had to go the distance. Travis Kelce turnover. I believe they didn't turn that into points, right? They didn't start fast in Arrowhead. We're talking about in the fourth quarter, 13 minutes. So it's still a full quarter. The Chiefs are about to go up by 10 points. Travis Kelce runs a simple stick route, turns it up. Now the DB peanut punches him. Boom, ball comes out. He's punching the ground. He runs over to the sideline. He's like, what the hell? He knows he messed up. You see the swing? They were about to go up 10 points. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes up by 10 points, and that defense playing well. And then all of a sudden, what? They lose by 4. And so if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you're like, woo. You know what I'm saying? Like, we played like trash and we still won. So, like, do you feel good about it? And it's actually a boost to your confidence because, like, damn, just what if, right? But I this is going to sound so ridiculous. I was watching ESPN earlier, Ashley, and Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith went through his 5 A's, like basically his top 5 teams. Shannon Sharp didn't even have the Chiefs in the top 5 anymore. He took them out.
What?
They lose a game. Hold on, listen to this. They lose a game, and he takes the Chiefs out. Oh, how they've been playing the last couple of weeks. They were 7-2 going into this game. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens lose. He has them at 3, right? So this I'm just teeing us up, right? Teeing us up for what I'm about to say.
Was it the fashion in which they lost that he chose to remove them?
How did they lose? He lost by 4. In which way did they lose? Ashley, tell me.
I mean, a lot of drop passes. The offense looked horrendous. I mean, maybe it's the fashion. Maybe it's the standard in which he had the Chiefs and the way that the Chiefs lost. the combination of the two, it was like, I can't have him. But take him out of your top 5 at all, I mean,
That's
completely is
ridiculous.
insane. Maybe like knocking him down a few, but
He has the Lions
yeah.
above them. He has even the Ravens, who I think the Ravens, we can have that conversation another time, but I think the Ravens are the team, will be the team that can and potentially will knock off the Chiefs. But here's what I'm going to say, right? The Chiefs looked amazing. Take the drop balls away. Patrick Mahomes is out there creating. I mean, some of those throws in those elements was unbelievable. I was watching the Manning cast, right? So I was watching the Manning cast, and Peyton Manning, guy, Peyton Manning, kept saying, like, every time there's a drop ball, he's like, yeah, that's what I do too. Put my hands on the head like this, right? How many times did he do it? How many times people in the stands was doing that? But he looked amazing. Take away those drop balls. You're playing against the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that you just played against in the Super Bowl, okay? This is a big rematch. It's Monday Night Football, prime time. And you're in your fourth quarter, about to go up by 10. Travis Kelce loses the ball. He never loses the ball. They don't turn the ball over like that. Good teams don't beat themselves. If they would have went up 10, it would have been a totally different story. Now, we would be saying, oh my goodness, how bad are the Philadelphia Eagles? Maybe Shannon Sharp takes the Philadelphia Eagles out this top 5 if they hold on to the ball and they go in and score. He was on the 15-yard line. Catches the little stick route. Now he's on the 9, gets peanut punch, balls out, totally changes the game, right? In that moment, I was sitting there just watching. I was like, oh, my goodness. I picked the Eagles, but the Chiefs look so good. Take away these drop balls. They look so good. They're dominating this team. So, Ashley, at one point, I believe they were up 17-7, I believe. I believe they were up 17-7.
Yeah.
And so the Chiefs look really good. I think all of those mistakes are correctable. Now they have had some drops in the past, but I don't think that's going to be to their detriment come, end of the year going into the postseason. Their defense played phenomenal. You just talked about the pressure they got on Jalen Hurts. The defense, They never had a defense like this. They held A.J. Brown, the Black Batman, to 8 yards?
I gotta push back, though. I feel like,
go ahead.
Yes, defense looked amazing. And, in situations where the weather is unpredictable or messy, usually the defense is what keeps you in the game and allows, the offense to figure things out. But I don't know how you can see how the Chiefs offense played or didn't play and say they played amazing. I mean, there were multiple drop passes at the worst possible times. And let's not forget the drop pass that could have gone ahead and sealed the game for them to win.
That's right.
Patrick Mahomes it wasn't even like
goosebumps. Look at me. I got goosebumps.
Patrick Mahomes walking over.
Keep talking. Keep giving me more goosebumps. Keep giving me. Keep going.
Throwing it to them, and they were dropping these passes.
Ashley, those are all correctable. We can correct those. Ashley, what do you expect? This is a top 5 defense. This was two really good offenses, top 10 offenses versus top 5 defenses. Now I wonder why they were in the Super Bowl last year, right? Ashley, they did a great job. Like, I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles against Patrick Mahomes. They really did, okay? But for them to be in position to go up 2 scores against the Philadelphia Eagles, a top 5 defense, and the reason why they didn't is because of a Travis Kelce fumble, the best tight end ever, okay? Drop balls, those are correctable. And so even when we think about these drop balls, I'll be honest with you. In those games, in those moments, I probably would have dropped the ball too. You know what I'm saying? Like I would actually go. Do you know how hard it is to go out there when it's drizzling or it's raining and you got these damn gloves on, or you're trying to figure out, do I go leather gloves? Do I go no gloves? Do I put tape on my fingers? Do I wear you get in your head, right? And so I just think those things are correctable, right? And obviously you can't always have the best conditions. You're not always going to have, being put in the best situation. I just think that, those weren't schematic problems. Those weren't, these guys aren't good. Man, we can get that fixed. You know how we get that fixed? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes walk in and say, hey, guys, wet ball drill. We can't have any more of these drops. What y'all got to do? So
you're not concerned at all. I mean, the Chiefs offense is already in comparison to Philly's offense, let's go ahead and just use these two teams because these are two that played each other.
Right.
You're already at a disadvantage because the Eagles offense is drastically better. There's more weapons. The Chiefs offense really is like 4 guys. So you can't afford to have those 4 guys dropping passes. Well, 3 guys if you include Patrick Mahomes because he's the quarterback. So take him out. It's really 3 guys. You can't afford to have them dropping passes. That's your entire offense, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's only one game. They're not perfect.
A wide receiver.
Yeah, but they're not perfect. Hell, one game I dropped 4 balls in one game, I believe. I think it was Detroit, 2009, maybe 2010. I dropped 4 balls. You know how painful that is and how embarrassing that is? You drop a ball, especially after like your second one, and you got to walk back to the sideline. You got to look everybody in the face. It happens. It happens. So they're in perfect position. I really do. They never had a defense like this. That defense looked phenomenal. You know what you're getting out of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Now what we need is that other guy to step up. I love their running back. He's playing phenomenal. He's a monster. Now it's about, all right, now we're getting to that part of the season where we have to overcome some of these mistakes offensively. But that's the beautiful thing about Kansas City and both teams, right? These teams are complete teams. Special teams, they're winning field position battles. Defensively, they're top 5 defensively. The Kansas City Chiefs, you gave Patrick Mahomes a top 5 defense. He's not going to lose too many games, Ashley. He's not.
So no concern before we move on about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Zero concern. You remember, I don't know if we can pull this up. Woo, maybe you come in here and tell me how long it would take. Remember, maybe it was a week or 2 ago, we went through March Madness, my top 5, you know, and I had like the Kansas City Chiefs, and then there was a big gap, and then I had the Philadelphia Eagles. Y'all remember that? Do we have that graphic? Yes. Woo? And how long would that take? It's no go. 5 minutes? Okay, so it's a no-go. We don't have it. Maybe pull it back later. Maybe Ashley give me an opportunity to talk about this later on in the show. So let's pull it up, Woo, for later on in the show. Ashley, where do you think I have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles now? Because remember, it was Kansas City Chiefs at 1, 2 was the Philadelphia Eagles, but it was a huge gap. It's the same. It might even be bigger. It might even be bigger. I know you.
Logic here.
Think about it, Ashley. Come on. If let's say you're Kansas City, Mr. Jeff. I don't know. Y'all are weird family from New York and love the Dallas Cowboys. Crazy.
We're not the only one. There's a lot of us. So
okay, no, it's not.
Yes, there is.
Don't even say Jay-Z. I know what you're about to say. Let's say you guys grew up in Chicago. You grew up in Chicago, but y'all fell in love. Mr. Jeff fell in love with the Kansas City Chiefs. So now you guys bleed red and yellow, okay? You're a Chiefs fan. If you're a Chiefs fan watching that last night, how do you feel today? What are you saying?
Not great.
Break it down, though. You're not – go ahead. Give me
I'm not – do I think that my season's over? No. Do I think that I can't make it back, to the championship game or even the Super Bowl? No. But I'm concerned that my offense was dropping passes multiple times throughout this game and in multiple clutch situations. I mean, and not passes that were impossible to catch, not passes that, maybe if he was like super athletic, he could. We're talking about passes that were literally thrown to them and slipping through their fingers. And yes, I understand the rain, but you watch some of those replays and they're hitting the palm of their hands and slipping through. I'm concerned by that.
You know what? But you know what? If you really was a fan, you know what you'd be saying? Because fans, like, you live like in this, you're very optimistic, right? And so you're probably saying, man, we dropped those balls. But if it wasn't raining, we probably would have caught it. We probably would have caught it. Reverse it. Travis Kelce doesn't fumble. They score. They go up 10 points. Now Philadelphia got to throw the ball. They got to throw the ball. You don't think there would have been any drop balls on that side of the ball? Because they're in 2-minute mode now. They got to score. I guarantee there have probably been some drop balls. It's hard as hell to catch the ball in the rain. I'm sorry. Yes, there's some people that master it, but me playing wide receiver at a high level for a long time, I hated the rain. I hated it. So, Ashley, I truly believe you guys would be sitting there pissed off, but like, man, if it wasn't raining, we're up maybe 3 scores. Travis Kelce doesn't fumble the ball. We're up 3 scores. We blow this team out. I think you're more excited. I honestly think you guys are more excited about your team. I honestly do.
Well, I mean, we shall see. I think that Kansas City, obviously, season's far from over. There's a lot of wins that are going to go ahead and happen in that column. But I feel like this game was a little bit of a question mark. But in the long run, I think they'll be okay. We're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about the Josh Dobbs hit that a lot of people questioned why there was not a penalty called in real time. Kareem Jackson went ahead and had a hit on Josh Dobbs very early in the game when the Broncos faced off against the Vikings in Sunday Night Football. Well, that hit is now going to cost Kareem Jackson 4 games after he was suspended by the NFL. Now, again, it's important to note that this was not penalized during the game. I think we also have the video of the hit for people who haven't seen it. So can we go ahead and play? There we go.
Oof. 4 games? Man.
Ouch. Yeah.
Jeez.
And listen, this is important to note. This is actually Kareem Jackson's 2nd suspension for a hit just like this, but it happened to him earlier in the season. I believe he had a 4-game suspension as well. So, Brandon, agree, disagree?
Whew. I agree. And we had Kareem on the show, and he's a phenomenal person, great teammate, and he's not a dirty player. He's been around. He's an OG. He's been around for a minute, and I agree because I grew up in that era where you're hitting like that. I grew up in that. I came up hitting like that, but things have changed, and so for you to be a repeat offender. And it's like, and you put yourself in that position, meaning literally that position where you are launching yourself with your helmet. Say that again?
In the same season, no less, like weeks apart.
Right. And so, if you're the NFL, how do you enforce this? This is how you enforce it, right? Like, okay, cool. We gave you 1 or 2 games before. We fined you. We took your money. Now we're going to do it again. And it's painful. Now, I hate that something like this will cause someone like KJ, hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially, maybe even more. I don't know his contract. Maybe he lose $1 million this year off of those type of hits. I don't like that. But I do like that we are trying to protect our guys, right? Because I've said it. Go ahead.
I want you to, because there are some people in the chat who disagree with the suspension, saying that Dobbs was a runner. It's a clean hit. So right. While we loop this video, walk us through why this is not a clean hit and why this, 1, should have been called in real time, right, and 2, why this deserves a suspension.
First off, old school football, when I grew up, going back to 2000, I go back to 90-something when I started playing Little League football. This is a great hit. Great hit all the way up until probably 2010, 2011 when they start changing the rules. They're trying to take the head out of the game. It's super simple. Do not lead with your head. Why? Because we having this big conversation around CTE. We're seeing some of our dudes physically and emotionally challenged post-career, even during their career. So the NFL is trying to take the head out of the game. And so if you run it back one more time, that's not even a technique anymore. What they're teaching is run in there with your shoulder, almost your chestboard almost. So DBs don't hate it. And I do believe they're in a vulnerable position. So there's more to it. But the rule is the rule. The rule is don't launch with your helmet. So he goes in there and launch with his helmet. Look, he could be concussed. Dobbs can be concussed, right? And we don't want to see that. Okay, cool. Y'all like the hit. Oh, wow, great. Look at the balls in the air. So much action. It's fun. It's so much excitement. But what if Dobbs, 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, you saw him in your local grocery store and he got glasses on, right? Because the light is still hurting him. He can't even walk straight, right? Because he's still off. right? Is that what you want? Or do you want, have you ever seen some of these older players, the Jim Browns of the world, rest in peace? Like, you ever seen them at 50, 60? Actually, I know you've seen them around. Some of our players are in terrible condition. So this is why you take the head out of the game. And I know there's legends that think the opposite. I'm just one of those guys that appreciate the changes. And I played the game very violently for probably 90% of my career. And I'm going back to 6 years old.
There's also disarray on NFL Twitter about the lack of it being called in real time and how there should be a penalty against the referee who missed that call when it was as clear as day. And some people are arguing that, well, if the referee missed it, why should Kareem get 4 games for a penalty that wasn't called in real time? What's your pushback against that?
Yeah, you just never know. Like, it's human error, right? It's just in any sport, they don't catch it all. And so that's why you have replay. That's why you have these processes in place where you can go back and you can maintain the integrity of the game, maintain the integrity of the rules. So, no, I don't believe that the ref should be fined. Now, if this is a ref that continues to miss, then, they need to be demoted or potentially let go. Or maybe we look at rules like that where refs could be held accountable, and they do that, right? Like, I don't know if people know this, but the reward for a lot of these refs are postseason, Super Bowl. When you're really good, right, you do a great job, you get more opportunities. So not only being able to be on that type of stage, but also it's more money for you. So those are the incentives for the refs to get it right. I think the NFL is getting it right here. I know a lot of my teammates that I played with, I know a lot of the guys that came before me, they see it differently. Hell, Tom Brady even spoke on that recently, and I think we're going to talk about that a little later. And I'm just a guy that's on the other end of the spectrum totally. In my household, I hate that we got footballs in the house. You come in my crib, daddy ain't got there ain't no action photos hung up, right? I had a couple jerseys of other guys and teammates, but it wasn't until my oldest son, Z, it wasn't until 4 or 5 where there was a football in the crib. I came home from practice one day, I think we were in New York, and I saw this little Jets football. And I looked at Mishi and I'm like, what is this football? What's going on? Because like the rules are the rules, right? Like, I didn't even want them to be associated with it, around it. And there was a ball that came from, promotion at the game, and they snuck one in. And now, like, both of my sons have the bug. They want to play football. And just yesterday we was arguing. Someone asked them a question like, what sports do you play, or what sports do you want to play when you get older? Or what your dad say? It's like tennis and basketball. And I said, yup. And he said, but I'm going to play football. I said, So, no, this is good. I'm glad both of them are okay. Hopefully that, hopefully Kareem challenges this, and maybe it goes from 4 games to 2 games, and he gets some of his money back, and they get back on track, because the Broncos are on track. Ashley, did you know that Russell Wilson has the longest winning streak in the NFL right now? Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I'm sure you knew that.
You know that? Oh, did you? Actually, the 4-game winning streak. They beat some really good teams. 3 teams above 500. We're talking about the Chiefs, and who did they beat this weekend? Ashley, really good team. Was a good team. The Vikings. Vikings was hot. Jobs hot. Yeah. And was it the Eagles they beat too? Who was the other team? Am I missing something? Missing one? It wasn't the Eagles? Was it the Eagles?
No.
Who was it?
It was Vikings. Chiefs.
I know they beat the Packers. It was another team.
Packers. What's the 4th team?
Let me pull it up right now. I know we got a guest coming on here to talk about rookie, but I just want to make sure that we're giving the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson their love, because the bandwagon is getting packed. It's the Bills, Ashley. It was the Bills. Right, the Bills. Oh, my goodness. So Kareem Jackson hopefully gets back out there, because I have the Denver Broncos only losing one more game. One more game. That's it. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Chargers twice. They beat the Patriots. Do they lose to the Lions? Do they lose to the Texans? They got the Browns this week, Ashley. I know we can talk about that later. I'm getting off track a little bit here, but we're talking about Kareem and the Denver Broncos. I didn't know if you watch. I don't know if you've been watching, seeing what's going on with the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson. Is Russell Wilson cooked?
Oh, my God. Moving on from Russell Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Wilson, as the Jets starting quarterback, is officially cooked. But before we get into that, about 3 hours ago, Adam Schefter revealed the news that the Steelers have fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada. So just yesterday, we were talking about the Steelers and how they are one of the worst offense or the worst offense in the NFL. Najee Harris spoke about the lack of commitment with the team. And now the OC is officially out. Brandon, thoughts?
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, right? Like, said Coach Tomlin is going to do something, right? When you have two of your wide receivers pissed off, think one of them had to be separated from an assistant coach. Hell, probably was Matt Canada. You have your running back publicly talking about that. And this is an organization that know. Some organizations just don't know. Sometimes you go, some of these teams like, let's say, the Chicago Bears don't have strong leadership yet at the top because this is a new general manager, so he hasn't really implemented everything, and it trickled down all the way down to the equipment managers. Some guys just don't know. Like, I expect this from the Arizona Cardinals. I expect this from, any of these bottom-feeding teams. But the Pittsburgh Steelers to have a running back publicly say what he said, something got to happen. He had to do this or he was going to lose the whole locker room. Or half of it, because the defense is playing well. They always play well. But this is a real thing. So he goes out there and he fires Matt Canada. And I would say it's probably 2 weeks too late. Well, it ain't too late. We'll see, because they're sitting in a good position. I don't want to say that. They're sitting in a good position, right? But they needed this to happen. How the hell do you have this young receiver over there that, man, like, I think he has the biggest catch radius in the league right now. That's over all the dogs. Justin Jefferson healthy, okay? Adams, even Garrett Wilson has a crazy catch radius. Throw it anywhere. They go pluck the ball anywhere. Fingers. But this kid, you mean to tell me he had what? 30 yards or something? Was it 30 yards? He has like 30 catches on the season. Are you kidding me? What are we doing here? Right? So, Ashley, I'm not surprised. This was a good move. It's you can say unexpected move for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they never do things like this. They keep their hands steady. They don't matter. They keep everything internal. And so when you have these guys coming out speaking the way they spoke, things change, and they made this change, and I think it can potentially give them a spark. We'll see who they put in that position as interim offensive coordinator and see if he can get these guys going. If they do, it could get scary, right? Because that defense is playing well, and for them to play this bad offensively and still be sitting at 6-4, I believe, Ashley, for them to still be sitting at 6-4, like, man, that's a testament to Coach Tomlin and everybody else in that building. So,
all right. Well, listen, like I said, the Jets have benched Zach Wilson. He has played his last game, at least it appears his last game, as a starting quarterback for the New York Jets. Now, Wilson was benched Monday, and now Tim Boyle will be New York's QB1 when they face the Dolphins this Friday in Amazon's Black Friday game. Now, the offense was historically bad with Zach running the show, but check out this tweet from former Jet Damian Woody on the situation. Go ahead and throw that up there. He says, Tim Boyle / Zach Wilson, it doesn't matter. QB position was third in the pecking order of problems for the Jets offense. Play caller and offensive line are the biggest issues.
Told
Brandon,
you.
Agree? Disagree?
Well, you remember what we talked about yesterday? What did I say about the offensive coordinator? Remember, I said you can't make a move there. Why? Because of Aaron Rodgers. That's his guy, Nathaniel Hackett. Last year, when Aaron Rodgers was going through it with Green Bay, they thought that, well, that was before. They thought that wherever Nathaniel Hackett went, Aaron Rodgers was going to go. This was maybe 2 years ago, right? So now, fast forward to this offseason. Nathaniel Hackett gets fired. He gets fired last year, Denver Broncos. everybody thought wherever Nathaniel Hackett goes, that's probably where Aaron Rodgers lands. So if Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback, would they be in this position? Probably not. So if they look at Nathaniel Hackett wrong, Aaron Rodgers go ahead a whole building upside down. So you can't do nothing. You're stuck. Because I agree that Nathaniel Hackett, there's some challenges there. Challenges because your offense is so robust and so complicated, and you've been running this whole thing with Aaron Rodgers, maybe one of the top 3, top 5 all-time quarterbacks ever. And then you have a Zach Wilson who's already struggling, and you throw him out there. Like, man, that's not it. Seeing Zach Wilson in the pocket, 1, 2, 3, throw, 1, 2, 3, look left, look right. That's not his game. He has like juice. That's what I was excited about when it came to Zach Wilson. I wanted to see a little bit of juice. I want to see him out the pocket, the sidearms. He had a play a couple weeks ago where he's looking left, throws a no-looker down the middle of the field. Was beautiful. Like, I want to see more of that. Like, that's when he's at his best. But he couldn't do that, right? And so, yes, I agree with Woody, Ashley, that, you know, Zach Wilson definitely contribute to it. But when you're young and you're struggling and you're in this type of situation, man, that play caller is everything. Offensive line, that's everything. Give me some time. They didn't do that. And they can't touch Nathaniel Hackett. They can't touch Nathaniel Hackett until Aaron Rodgers is done. When Aaron Rodgers say, I'm retired, I'm done playing ball, then watch what happens. Nathaniel Hackett going to be out the door too. I don't even know why I'm saying this because, you know, I'm going to be in that building, one floor in Park.
Oh, my God. Well, listen.
Last time I was there, me and Nathaniel Hackett was sitting at eating lunch. See, this is the problem with TV, Ashley. This is the problem, right? I go out here say this. Now what happened when I walk into the building? They're going to be looking at me like I'm crazy.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to take a little break, and we will be right back with our Yo Rookie segment. And we also have a special guest. David Anderson will be joining us, former NFL wide receiver and Breakaway Data CEO. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Crawford, bro. The menace, bro.
Bro, when he came out to Eminem,
Fight over.
We always like, oh, shit. Em don't come out for nobody.
Man, that was an awesome moment too, man. Right. Awesome moment. And you can tell Terrence was in his bag. When I look at that fight, man, I just think Spence with the layoff too. See, this is what has to be addressed. All these fighters are in these big fights. They're coming in with long layoffs. And you're never going to be your best when you ain't fought in a year. You ain't fought in a year and a half.
Okay. So, boom, mandatory rematch is going to happen probably the beginning of 2024.
Yeah, I don't like the rematch for Spence. You know, that's just my personal, knowing the game like I know it. I think Crawford's going to get better. He's going to get better, bro. He won. He the undisputed champion. What do you think he's thinking about? Yeah. You feel me? He's going to get better, bro. So I don't like the rematch for Spence. But if it happens, hopefully it's at 54. But it don't have to be at 54 because the winner has the option of either fighting that whatever way he wants. So Crawford could still say, if you want this fight, we're going to fight at 47. Now what? He's going to have the same issues that they say he had. You know, he's ready to move up. He don't think his body can take the 54.
So who you think that Bud should see next?
Man, I think Bud, right now, Bud got a option, man. He can fight who he want to fight one time.
Yeah. And
then get back to the defending the titles and all that. But I think he deserves a fight like Fury got now, where he gonna make a big bag, and he gonna pick the guy he wanna fight.
Right.
You feel me? Got a guy coming to fight his first fight from MMA, fighting a heavyweight champion of the world. You feel me?
Yeah.
Now that fight, it's hard for me to see Ngannou really having.
Yeah, that's gonna be
poise.
Come on, you got Mike Tyson in your corner and all that, but that ain't enough.
Right? He gotta land that big punch.
That ain't enough.
The only thing that can allow that to be more.
Nothing.
No, listen. If Tyson Fury, which I think he got 200 million reasons now to take this fight serious because he already signed to fight Usyk. That's a bad omen when you have a fight set and you sign another fight. You don't really like to do that in boxing because anything can happen. And when you got your mind set on the next thing, it can get
you overseeing it. You're not respecting this opponent.
It's hard to.
Right.
It's really hard to when you think about it.
Come on, bro, let's be honest.
But this guy don't have everything a top heavyweight boxer would have.
Right.
You feel me? So he's gonna try to come in here with one thing and only is power. You know.
Come on.
I don't think he's gonna land.
Nobody thinks.
So you know that. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah. Came up from the mud, it's like I walk around with a shoe stain. Uncle gave me fire when we kicked it, he was Luke Kane. Remember we was struggling for it, didn't needed loose change. Now the money never stopped, and I feel like I'm Bruce Wayne.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. It is now time for Yo Rookie, presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar, NFL Rookie of the Week. All right. Listen, congratulations first and foremost to CJ Stroud, who was Rookie of the Week for the second straight week. No surprise there. Brandon. And spoiler alert, he is back on the list for week 11. Again, no surprise there. So BC, go ahead and throw those week 11 nominees on the screen for us. All right, here we go. A new face on the list. We have the Giants quarterback, Tommy DeVito, who threw for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Still in his
Giants'
parents' basement.
Yes, coming live from his parents' basement. Listen, CJ Stroud, no surprise there, threw for 336 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Texans' win. We have number 3, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back from the Detroit Lions, had 95 yards from scrimmage and 1 rushing touchdown in the Lions' win. We have Tank Dell, also out of Houston, joining his quarterback. A wide receiver, caught 8 passes for 149 yards and a touchdown in week 11. We have Jaden Reed out of Green Bay, recorded 92 yards from scrimmage and a rushing touchdown in the Packers' win. And a new face on the list, we have linebacker Yaya Diaby, had 4 tackles and 2 sacks in week
his name.
11. Brandon, it's nice to see some new faces on the list, right?
There is. And then also like some guys that are new but starting to pop up a little bit more, like Jaden Reed, right? Like I think he hit as a nominee maybe 2 weeks ago, and to see him come back around, that's good. See, the beautiful part about, you know, this, Ashley, like we're seeing it, right? Like a guy makes it to the league, and it's, some people say that it's harder to stay. And how do you break through? It's like this welcome to the NFL moment. So some of these guys, halfway through the year, they either hit a rookie wall, and the rookie wall is like, damn, by this time, usually our season's over in college football. And so like their bodies aren't used to it. Their minds aren't used to it. But then there's some of these guys that continue to show up or starting to show up now. It's like, oh, they broke through that rookie wall. They're about to take off and really tell the NFL, like, hey, I'm here. And so it's pretty cool seeing these guys ball. CJ Stroud, what he's doing, Ashley, is just next level. Tank Dell. Oh, my goodness. I wish we could show more footage. Ashley, Nicole Moss. I got goosebumps thinking about it. Tank Dell had the most amazing route that I've ever seen this Sunday. He ran like a in, up, stutter, go. I was like, what the hell is that? It was unbelievable. So it's pretty cool seeing these guys develop and really take the NFL by storm.
I love that. Well, speaking of taking the NFL by storm and life after football, we have a special guest joining us who has something has something he can relate to you with. Brandon, can you guess what that is?
Business. Big business. Is it business?
Go football first. Can you take a guess?
Yeah, of course I know. Wide receiver. What do you mean? 2006, we were drafted
to wide receiver for the Denver Broncos and current CEO of Breakaway Data, David Anderson, is joining us. Welcome to the show, David.
Oh, your audio. Turn your audio up. You're on mute.
Come on. 06 draft.
Hold on. Time out. Hold on. Time out. See, David, we can get into this. Maybe we need a whole sit down, a whole hour.
Okay.
He's done some amazing things in tech, Ashley. I think he's more of a Hall of Famer. He's having a better business
We're gonna
career
get to that. We're going to get to
than
that.
football.
I was blurring the lines of football first.
Okay, but Ashley, you don't take it easy on him. How the hell does a tech guy come in here and not know how to turn on his audio?
Well, you got. There's someone on the background was muting me. I didn't know if that was going to be done by you guys or me. But yeah, you're Zoom and the Wi-Fi. You never figure out. That's the two hardest things.
We love you, man. Thanks for coming on. 2006 7th round, pick 251. We love you, brother. I was drafted in 2006. Ashley, you know who else was drafted in 2006 to the Houston Texans?
Who?
The guy who's leading the Houston Texans now. This was his teammate. They were there at the same time, 2006 to 2011. That's his boy.
My boy.
Wow.
I'll tell you a quick D'Amico Ryan story. We got 30 seconds here. So it's NFL training camp, July 28th. Gary Kubiak gets up and says, "Hey guys, we got a birthday boy. This guy's been making tons of plays out here. We're really excited for him to lead this team. Blah, 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 blah. Everybody give it up for Anthony Weaver." And we're like, what? Anthony Weaver's birthday, July 28th. Anthony Weaver's now the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, or assistant coordinator, assistant head coach. And all of a sudden, the equipment manager runs up to Coach Kubiak and says, no, there's one more birthday. And they're like, oh, wait, we have a rookie. This guy's birthday is also today. He was drafted. He's been making plays. He was out there with the ones today. I was out there with the ones that day. I was like, oh, shit, they're going to tell me it's my birthday. And they're like, everybody give it up for D'Amico Ryans. And so D'Amico Ryans, Anthony Weaver, and Dave Anderson, I got no love. No love.
It was your birthday?
July 28th, me, Anthony Weaver, D'Amico Ryans.
Wow.
You know why?
They left the 7th rounder out. So from then on, D'Amico, Anthony, and I are all on a text thread talking about our birthdays. Like you see every year, just like ding, 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 ding. Happy birthday, bro.
I love that, and I can absolutely see you. I could have seen you go into coaching, but it's probably because, you were 7th round. He probably just overlooked you. He didn't think that you were going to make the team, probably. That's probably what it was, Ashley.
Listen, I mean, let's talk about your professional career. We mentioned the Texans, the team that you were drafted to, the Denver Broncos, something you and Brandon share.
Yeah.
A second stint with the Houston Texans, and then the Washington Redskins when they were still the Redskins. Which team do you have the fondest memories of?
So I think, and Brandon speaks to this, I've heard him talk about, like, he was just talking about with Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett, and but Aaron Rodgers has been under probably like 4 different coaching trees now. But I was under the Shanahan coaching tree, which is from Bill Walsh, West Coast offense, right? And so Kubiak was my coach. Kyle Shanahan was my receivers coach. Matt LaFleur was our PN graduate assistant. Mike McDaniel was a graduate assistant. Robert Saleh was a graduate assistant. D'Amico Ryans we were drafted with. We had 7 head coaches on that staff my rookie year.
Wow.
Or first 2-3 years. And a lot of people give the Redskins a lot of love, but the Texans were actually the first one to put that staff together. And I would say I learned more about the game of football those first couple years than I had the previous probably 11. And I didn't realize how fortunate we were to have those coaches, right? I had no idea that Mike McDaniel was going to be the head coach he was, or LaFleur, or Kyle. I was just like, oh, everyone gets coaches like this. And then even when coaches cycled through the Texans, I was like, oh, I miss the way Kyle used to teach us. I wish the way Mike used to teach us. And you just found that those guys were amazing communicators. We as players, when we get together at like alumni weekends, we almost feel like we failed them. And then like we had a really good offense one year and a really bad defense. I lived in NFL purgatory my entire career. I was always 8-8, 7-9, 9-7. We never really were really bad to get the first pick again. We were never really good to do anything in the playoffs, but that was a break. So my favorite was probably like that 2-year stint on the Texans, year 3 and 4, probably.
So you're talking about being in NFL purgatory, right? I feel like the Texans were there just last year and for a couple of years, right? Are you shocked that your buddy, where you guys kind of share the same birthday, are you shocked that – are you surprised that D'Amico Ryans turned this team around the way he did so quickly?
I know the first thing – so we all kind of caught up on and wished him well and whatnot, and I've been catching up with him over the years and seeing him in different places, and the one thing I knew he was going to come in there is really change the culture. And I don't think people really understand that's something that kind of has to do with the players, but it really has to do with the perception of guys that even are coming in new to the team, because your roster is going to turn over 30-40% a year, and like those will change some of the nuances of the culture. But the head coach, the general manager, the way that they treat players, the way that the staff treats players, the way that the equipment manager treats players, if they were all going to follow D'Amico, that was going to be a really strong culture and something that you can get behind. And players were going to understand what they had to do to win. And I think that's what they were missing, was that when you walked into the Patriots building for that long time, you knew exactly what was going to be expected of you. And I think that was what was made that culture so strong. And that's what everyone was looking for, is a culture where if you get picked up as a free agent or you get drafted, you know exactly what you're walking into. And I think people are starting to better understand what the Texans are and what they represent. You know, they know they're going to play tough, fast, physical football. The city of Houston is rallying behind them big time. That's going to be a tough place to play in the coming years. Looks like they found their quarterback, but more importantly, I think they found a culture and a head coach that they can really get behind.
Mm.
Well, I mean, speaking of a culture and a head coach, let's shift gears to Brandon's favorite team, the one he does not stop talking about, the quarterback he doesn't stop talking about, Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. They've hit a stride. Right now they're sitting at 500, which is incredible considering how they started, how they looked, even going back to last season before Sean Payton even got there. So are you a believer? Are you a member of the Brandon's Broncos bandwagon?
I want to be a Broncos fan. I liked my time at Colorado State. I liked the Denver Broncos was the first NFL game I ever went to. I got a bunch of friends that are Broncos, but I'm not a believer in the Broncos. I don't think Alex Singletary, the middle linebacker, went to my high school. So like I want to root for them, and I text him all the time, tell him how big of a beast he is running around making all those tackles. But like I just can't really get behind. They're in the AFC West, which is a tough division. They're gonna run into the Chiefs again. I don't see how they never win clean. It's always a super dirty win with some crazy lucky plays that they pull out of their butt. I'm not really a big believer. I think they've turned it around from being it's going off the cliff to now it's actually a team that you can watch and get behind. But I don't see them winning more than 9 games this year.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, David?
Shots fired.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's okay. So, what year were you? What year were we drafted?
2006.
Do you remember who won the Super Bowl that year?
No.
Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Seattle Seahawks. The final score was 21-10. Okay. Our rookie year. Okay. Halfway through the year, the Steelers was damn near 500. They go on this crazy run second half of the season, and they end up winning the Super Bowl, hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. So, can you see, I'm going to rephrase this question, can you see the Denver Broncos being the 2006 Pittsburgh Steelers?
No, I can't see it.
Oh my God! So who? Okay. Well, who can you see? Well, finish up what you're about to say, but then tell me who you can see being the 2006 Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, I think to finish what I was saying about the Broncos, I don't. I like the way that they righted the ship. I think you're right in that. I think they got a chance to maybe sneak into the playoffs. Maybe. I highly doubt it. What I like about them, and which is important for every team to figure out, is how to win when you play ugly. But the problem is you can't always expect that. You got to go out there and just beat some teams, and I think that's kind of what they're missing. Is they're not just like going out there and beating some teams. Who can be the Pittsburgh Steelers? I don't know if it's going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers type of year. I see the Eagles playing amazing football. Even that game last night, I see the Chiefs playing amazing football. I see the 49ers playing really good football. I'm still a believer in the Dolphins, even though they haven't pulled out and beat.
I'm not.
I like what they do, and I think that's tough to guard any game. I would wonder how that would, as long as they can play in fast weather, I think they always got a chance.
What about the Texans? Can you see the Texans? Can you see the Texans and your buddy Drafted the same year, 2006. Y'all been in the trenches together. D'Amico Ryans leading the Texans, right?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not following the AFC South that much. I had no idea that the Jaguars were 7-3.
Oh, yeah, they're
Like,
playing.
they were garbage.
Yeah, they're playing good football.
Yeah, I had no idea. I just remember I saw some clip that the coach was complaining about Trevor Lawrence turning the ball over and whatnot, and I was like, oh, but they're 7-3, and so they're a good football team, and that I didn't see that coming. So you got to win the AFC South, and then there's plenty of football left that can happen. So I mean, they can get into the playoffs. I'm not the best person to ask for this stuff. I never even played in a playoff game. Like I played 6 years in the NFL. I never played in a playoff game, and it was terrible.
That's like you, Brandon.
It's just like I know what it takes to win in the NFL. I have no idea what happens when you get to the playoffs. Zero.
Why did he bring that up, Ashley?
You guys have more in common than we thought. Look at that.
13 years never made it to the playoffs.
I want to switch gears with you, David, for a second, and I want to talk tech.
13 years never made it to the playoffs. And I came under the same tree. I've said this story so many times on this platform, but 2006, right? We were going through the draft process, okay? I'm scheduled to go. I went to Kansas City. And when you go on these trips pre-draft, they actually give you per diem. The Kansas City Chiefs gave me like an $85 check that I still haven't cashed. It's like sitting there in my office, okay? So I go there. And then all of a sudden, I'm headed to the airport, Ashley, and my agent calls me, Kennard McGuire. He's like, hey, the Houston Texans want you to fly there. So I go to Houston, right? Well, that was all we were on the schedule. I go to Houston. Guess who I'm sitting with? I'm sitting with Kyle Shanahan, your guy, your coach. Kyle Shanahan's like, hey, man, we just picked up Aaron Moulds. Remember Moulds? Did you play with Moulds?
Eric Moulds.
Eric Moulds. Did you play with him?
Yes.
So y'all just traded for him from Buffalo. And so he's like, we only got a first and a third round. We need a wide receiver. You're probably not going to be there. We're not going to take one in the first, probably not in the third. So let's just watch film, right? Anyways, I leave there, headed to the airport to go back to Orlando, Florida. I get a call from my agent, Kennard McGuire. He's like, hey, now you're going to Denver. So now I go to Denver, and Shanahan, the big Shanahan, he ended up drafting me, right? So I came through in that era, you know what I mean? Like that Shanahan, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So we do have a lot in common. So think about that, bro. I'm on the Denver Broncos. They were in the AFC Championship in 2005.
Yeah.
Still didn't make the playoffs my 4 years there.
You guys have no idea how lucky they are. We had a practice squad player get cut, go to the Colts, win a Super Bowl, got cut from the Colts, go to the Saints, win a Super Bowl, got cut from the Saints and put on the Giants and won a Super Bowl. Back to back Super Bowls, 3 different teams. And like never played more than probably like 8 snaps in a game.
Ashley, I always thought that was good. Like, you know, you have that in a year. I had a guy training here, Ashley, for like 2 years, and he was just still trying to hold on. And he ended up getting a call from the L.A. Rams, the year they won the Super Bowl. He gets a call 2 weeks before postseason, and then they go on this run, and he wins the Super Bowl. This is a guy that was on the street for 2 years. And then all of a sudden he's there. Now he has a ring. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable. But anyways, Ashley, I know we're reminiscing. See what happens when you bring 2 old dudes together?
I love it. I love story time. Listen, we'll switch gears a little bit. I want to talk some tech because the Breakaway Data app is very, very cool for people who don't know. If you look on the website, it basically targets 3 things: what you did in a game, what you did in training, and then what you did the other 20 hours of the day. So talk to me about the mindset behind it, the ideology behind it, how it came about, all of it.
Yeah, so when I was finishing playing is when they started putting GPS devices on all of us. They started tracking everything we were doing in the weight room. There's force plates. There's things on our on the dumbbells and kind of everything, measuring what we were doing and kind of trying to get a better understanding of who we were as athletes. And I started seeing all this stuff pile up. When I finished ball, I went to graduate school and started getting into sports analytics, sports tech, and I was on the other side. I was actually creating tech that was monitoring players. And throughout that process, I realized, like, these guys don't have any access to this. You know, these teams are evaluating their rosters. They're making decisions in free agency. They're making decisions about in-game play from this data, yet the athletes don't have access to it. And to me, that just felt wrong. And so I wanted to make sure that someone created a technology, someone created a platform, someone created an app essentially that gave athletes access to their information. And let's start from that process. Let's give them access and make sure they have it. Now, some guys, as any athlete and anyone that plays sports would know, that they wouldn't be interested in it, and that's fine. But there are other athletes that would really lean in and want to use it to improve their career, and they deserve that right. And so that's what we really provide here at Breakaway. So we work with professional leagues, we work with all the professional players associations. We're starting with colleges, and then eventually, as more data and technology starts going downstream, we want to bring this to the everyday athlete and high school athletes. But we've really seen a lot of love with the NWSL and the NWSLPA and those women and what they do on a daily basis. The Gotham FC, who won, they were the first team to really adopt what we're doing, and so that's been fun to watch. Starting to get a lot more attention in basketball, and those athletes, as everyone's paying more attention to load monitoring and what that means and what it doesn't mean. But overall, it's just been it's been really fun to stay involved with ball, stay involved with the data and everything that comes off it, because there's not a good story that doesn't include a data point. You want to argue LeBron versus Michael Jordan, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about data points. You're going to talk about championships. You're going to talk about minutes played. You're going to talk about height and weight and dunks and wins and all this stuff, right? And so those are all data points and sports important storytelling tools that I just think athletes should have access to, and that's really the heart of it.
Well, two athletes that stood out to me that are featured on your website, you know, the official athletes app of the NFL Players Association. We see that, Athletes Unlimited, USA Football. And then if you look at join, you know, elite athletes across the globe, there are some names there that may stick out to you, Brandon. We have the point guard himself, Chris Paul.
That's right.
CP3, but also a guy who played football just yesterday, who probably is tracking his data like, what the hell just happened? Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
So kind of tell me the story about how you guys got them involved. I mean, these are two of the biggest athletes in the world.
So Mahomes is the new Tom Brady, TB12 of the world. He's got a team of people. And so I don't want to pretend that like he's the one clicking on the phone and doing all the stuff, but he has a team of people that really support him, his mind, his body, what he does from preparation and what he does outside the Kansas City room. The Kansas City locker room and outside the Kansas City facilities. And so like he's been great. We've used speed with him. We've collected his tracking data for him and helped his team analyze it. So we've really given him a lot of information that he uses on Tuesdays and Fridays, as well as information that he uses kind of in the off season when it's time to figure out what he can do next year, what he should be doing this in the off season to prepare for a better next year. The Chris Paul situation has been ideal, right? Like he was Brandon and I know this and still to this day blows my mind. When you finish playing a game, you go on the bus and then they give you a white piece of paper that has all your stats. And then if you want to look up stats from the week prior, you got to go to like ESPN.com or NFL.com like a fan to compare your own stuff. And maybe you can go ask the stat guy at your team or the video guy. But like I was always like, let's just give the players their info. So that was the first thing we built, Chris, was like the app had all his stats, all the stuff that he found important, all the advanced analytics. And then he started adding more and more stuff to it. And so we've really learned a lot from these players in terms of it's wildly different what's important to them. Sport by sport, wildly different what they get and what they use it for. But the thesis is like you have data and stats and information that's collected on you. You should have access to it. And when you do that for athletes, it's fun to see how they really kind of bond with their own information. Because in a lot of ways, it's like looking at a mirror, you know, and you get to kind of nitpick what you want to fix and what you're good at.
That's dope. That's dope. Quick question, real quick. My only question on business: what's harder, football or business?
Ooh.
I grew so comfortable with being taxed physically that was so easy, and that stepping on the field and practicing, I knew what I needed to do. I knew I had to win a certain amount of one-on-ones. I had to win a certain amount of reps. You had to catch a certain amount of balls. You had to prepare a certain way. And all that was perfectly ironed out. And you knew if you were good or bad every day. You got this thumbs up, thumbs down, and you would watch it on the film, you break it down. Mm-hmm. And not only that, you and everyone around you was held accountable to pretty much the same measurement. Did you win or did you lose? And did you win your individual battles that ultimately led to the winning? the larger battle. That was the best, right? That and that does not exist in the real world. There are measurements. People have KPIs. They have EBITDA. They have growth numbers. They have all these different things, and it seems like everyone emphasizes something different. The business world is hard because it is not so matter of fact. People try to make it like it is, but it is not. And it is frankly not as transparent as professional sports, right? Like the wins, the losses, you know exactly what someone's supposed to do, what they get paid, how they're supposed to function. So I miss that. But like I don't miss running and getting just absolutely my body demolished on a daily basis. So like that is nice to sit here and chat about football. But like I would say the physical aspect did not bother me about football, playing and grinding. So like that was certainly easier. The mental aspect of business is harder.
Right.
I find because it's the nuances get you.
Great.
So maybe a little bit of both.
Great answer, and I appreciate that. You know, I'm on that same journey. This is the Pepsi Zero Sugar NFL Rookie of the Week conversation. Yo, rookie. So before we let you go, any thoughts on what Tank Dell, CJ Stroud is doing in Texas?
I love what they're doing there. You know, when you get a rookie quarterback, you're worried about two things. You're worried about turnovers and you're worried about sacks. And he is frankly like dominating those two. CJ Stroud and the Texans are dominating those two things. 22 sacks on the season, which is nothing, and a handful of interceptions, which is amazing considering the amount of attempts he's taking care of the football, which means he's always giving his team a chance to win. And that's all D'Amico needs. He's going to have that defense revved up, ready to go. And so CJ has really taken a hold of the leadership role and understood what they need to do to win. They've gone out and just beaten teams like what I mentioned the Denver Broncos haven't done. And they've also won ugly, which is what you need to do in order to kind of get stack up those wins in order to get into the playoffs. They're still a very young team. Tank Dell making these plays out there, had a couple amazing catches. I watched that exact route.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about? What was that route?
I didn't know you had this amount of time in the NFL these days. I thought you can never do a double move in the middle of the field when we were playing. That didn't exist. But like they're creative, they're fun to watch. And I'm with you. You mentioned this about rookies early on, is that a lot of teams catch up. And they've now seen you for whatever, you put 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks of game on a game on film. They start to scout you harder. They know more what you're good and you're bad at. And a lot of rookies have that dip. These two look like they're going up, and I like seeing that. And my hope is it just keeps going up. There's going to be little setbacks, but you're hoping it's like the stock market, that it just keeps going up to the right. I'm happy where the franchise is. I'm happy who's leading it, and from behind center as well as on the sideline. So I think the Texans got a bright future for sure.
Love it. There you go.
David, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about football, business, and story time with Brandon Marshall. If you guys want to go ahead and vote for your favorite rookie this week, head over to NFL.com/voting/rookies. Again, that's NFL.com/voting/rookies. David, thank you so much.
Text me.
And this has been Yo Rookie, presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar, NFL Rookie of the Week. All right, now listen, guys, before we head over to the Sirius XM portion of our show, Brandon, you're going on tour.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Tell people where you're headed.
So we're going to Chi-Town. I keep chopping this up every time I talk about it. I act like I didn't play 3 years there. Chicago, Chi-Town, 11/29. That is next Wednesday. Super excited about this. Ashley, been working on a collaboration with Cam, any collaboration with Cam, for almost 2 years. We go back to when we were playing ball. We end up doing like the pyramid game with Michael Strahan, and that's when we were like, dang, man, chemistry is pretty dope, you know, and we start doing some things offline, and boom, now we're here. He has his platform. We're building our platform, and so it made sense for us to go out and take Funky Friday and I Am Athlete and Paper Route and 4th and 1 all on the road together. So it's going to be a bit of a process. You know, we have big plans, big dreams. Chicago's up first, and we're just going to have an amazing time. Like it's hard for me to explain it. It's just like the same conversations people enjoy watching on YouTube and on listening to Sirius XM is just live with food and drinks and some other elements as well. There might be some music.
I believe we have a promo that we can go ahead and play for the people. So can we run that?
Oh, let's do it.
I believe there we go.
Get down.
Even if you are not ready for the day.
Paid the cost to be the boss. I paid the cost to be the boss. Look at me. You know what to see.
Even if you are not ready for the day, it cannot always be night.
Everybody on socials. You can go ahead and find out how you can buy tickets. City Winery, 11/29, and more dates will be announced. I'm assuming, right?
Yes, more dates will be announced leading up to the Super Bowl and beyond. So excited about that. City Winery, Chicago. Go ahead and purchase your ticket or follow us on IG like Ashley said, and we'll see you in Chi-Town.
And this has been Paper Route. Now, if you guys want to go ahead and keep listening to us, head over to Sirius XM Faction Talk 103. We're ending the video portion of the show, but there's a lot more.
So I can take off my makeup?
And to talk about, you can take off your makeup. You can go ahead and relax a little bit. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And we'll be back tomorrow for Hump Day, my favorite day of the week. Peace, guys. All right, everybody listening to Sirius XM Faction Talk 103. I'm Ashley Nicole.